Hello and welcome to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. We are brought to you every week by our sponsors oxygenaddict.com, fueledbycake.com and sulfurtriathlon.com. I'm joined by my co-host Helen Murray. Helen, how are you doing, pal?
Hey Rob, I'm good, thank you very much. You know, it's one of those days where you don't really know what day of the week it is. I had a weekend away with no reception, and I'm just catching up on everything, and you just like, wow, is it Monday, is it Tuesday, is it Wednesday? One of those days. But all good, and wow.
You don't know what's going on, do you, mate? You don't know where you are, which way's up.
No, and last week my body clock was very much confused because I had to get up at 3:30, 4 days running. So that just left me in an absolute daze. So we'll be back on it this week, and I have been catching up with everything that's happening, so, you know.
That's good to hear. And you just back from a time trial? Have you just ridden the time trial tonight?
No, I rode home. So I rode to and from work today, and you know when you're that hungry, I got back. I hadn't put my bike away. I did manage to get my bike shoes off, and I noticed a pan of food on the stove. I grabbed a fork, went straight in.
Nice.
Straight in. That's how hungry I was.
Eating from the pan is always a good sign, isn't it? It's one of my favourites. That huge leftover bowl of food just from sweating all over the kitchen, just growling at people when they're in the way. Give me something to eat.
Yeah, straight in there with a fork. Then I had my shower, and then I had dinner.
Yeah. I've stopped mid-ride before and gone in and actually eaten the Mars bar in the shop before paying for it. I've been so hungry. Like staring at the guy behind the counter, daring him to say something. Just say something, anything, and I will end you.
Usually it's kids that you've got to stop doing that when you take them to the supermarket, isn't it? You get to the till and it's like, sorry, he's already kind of picked at the little bit of bread, so there you go. Yeah, no, not if you're Rob Wilby. You eat the Mars bar, then pay with the wrapper.
You said it. Right, so big weekend of racing then this weekend. Top of the billing has got to be Challenge Roth. Loads of my pals were racing over there, and I think there's something like 5,000 people racing in Germany. Is it possibly the oldest Ironman triathlon in Europe? I think it is, isn't it? It was the original Ironman Germany.
Yeah, definitely one of the oldest. I think you had the amazing facts and background for that one the other week, didn't you? But yeah, it's got so much history, and because the area where it takes place, you know, that is the key event, isn't it, in the year? So literally everybody comes out, and the crowds are sort of 5-6 deep. So I've heard a few reports from a couple of friends that did it, and they just said it's absolutely unbelievable going up the hill where everybody's there, and it's like the Tour de France. Like Chris Froome the other day when he went up and he did his break and he was trying to get through the crowds, just like that.
Yeah, it's super mental, isn't it? The Solarberg, the crowds are about 50 deep, and every year you think it can't get any bigger, and every year it just seems to. And there's something like 25 little villages on the route, I think, that the route goes to, where everyone's been up since dawn drinking beer in the street, so just a mad experience. Pretty hot, torrid day was had by all. Not as bad as Frankfurt the week before, but it was still pretty toasty out there, and it produced some... Do you know what? It produced some scorchingly fast times, but I don't think it was a particularly fast day in inverted commas. The guys I spoke to said it was pretty windy and pretty blustery, and they didn't feel as though they got an easy ride of it when they were out there, despite the fact some pretty quick times were turned out by pretty much everyone there, weren't they?
Yeah, but then is that part of the fact that it's Roth, and, you know, it is that quick course, so you're always going to get some decent times, even if it is a bit of bluster.
Yeah, I think so. Blustery, smooth tarmac, and I think the adrenaline carries people around as well. Let's go to the ladies first. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, if you've got 250,000 people watching you, you are going to put the hammer down a little bit, aren't you?
I think so.
Well, it was won by Yvonne van Vleuten. Now, you know, we said last week that Jodie Swallow would have been one of the ones to watch. Well, my error, she didn't actually compete. She's sort of been struggling with a bit of overtraining, I think, so she pulled out of Roth. So then automatically that made Yvonne van Vleuten, previous winner, the favourite going into the race, and she certainly finished it with the win in 8:50.53. Australia's Carrie Lester was second in 8:53.09, and Anja Berenek of Germany, the local person, she came home in 8:55.19. So that was the actual women's podium.
Yeah, scorching fast, isn't it? 8:50. I believe that was Yvonne van Vleuten's 9th sub-9 time.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Equaling the great Chrissie Wellington. So one more for her. I wonder whether she can pull off the big win in Kona. She's had a few of these amazing performances during the year, and she's never quite got it together, has she, on the big day?
No, and I'm going to put it out there right now. I don't think she'll win Kona this year. If you think about it, if Chrissie's record on that course is it 8:16, 8:18, and
8:18, yeah,
and this was 8:50. That's half an hour's difference. I don't know what Rinnie's time was last year, but I'm putting it out there right now. I don't think Yvonne van Vleuten will win Kona this year. She can prove me wrong.
I think you're right. I think she's got. It's just how it goes on the day, though, isn't it? That's the thing with Kona. She's got the form to be in the mix there. Yeah. She's definitely not going to be able to outrun Rinnie. But I was looking at some of her previous performances, and Van Vleuten's actually ridden a 4:35 on the Florida course, which is super fast. I think it's only bettered by Chrissie's time when she rode at Roth. She did a 4:36, I think, or something like that. So she's definitely got the pedigree.
That's it. Definitely, I think she could definitely be in. But if you compare Daniela Riff or, I know, again this weekend she didn't get the best result, but she will just be focusing on Kona, won't she?
Yeah.
Rachel Joyce, hopefully, I know she's been struck. I just think there are a number of others who would probably come out on top in Kona. But one thing I did notice, Rob, before we go on to the men's race, was that I loved this. So if there was any drafting going on, the athletes had to run an extra 1 kilometre at the 28k mark if they've been drafting.
That's brilliant,
yeah,
isn't it? The loop of shame.
Yeah. And that's in addition to 5 minutes in the penalty tent.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think that's really, really good. I think if you get caught doing it, you should be punished. And apparently they had 50% less drafting penalties given out this year than last year as a consequence of it, possibly. So I don't know how it was like. I'd love to hear from somebody who was out there about this penalty loop. But I like to imagine that they've got to do like 3 loops around almost an athletics track size loop with a crowd
booing.
All drunken,
all
booing them and throwing burgers at them and stuff.
It would certainly put you off, wouldn't it? Anyway, on to the men's race. Rob, fill us in on that one.
Yeah, the men's race was taken out by Nils Fromhold. He took second last year. He did a 7:51.28. So last year he got second behind Timo Bracht. Timo Bracht this year was second at 7:56. David Dello third, just snuck under the magic 8-hour barrier with a 7:59. Now, interesting bike geek news here, Helen. You'll love to hear this.
I know
you love nothing more than bike geek news. Riding the same bike that Frodeno rode last week at Ironman Germany. So there's currently only the 2 of them on them. This new Super Duper Canyon.
Yeah.
That looks a lot like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If you gave my 3.5-year-old son a big box of white Lego bricks and asked him to go make you a bike, it would come out looking roughly like this new Canyon.
With a bit of a lump here and a bit of a lump there. Dude,
it is uglier than some of the English teachers I had at school, man. It is really foul. But by golly, it seems to go fast. He put in a 4:09.30 on the bike. So he's taken the bike course down. He snuck ahead of our mate Joe Skipper in the fast riding splits. Mr. Starkowitz from the USA was out there as well. He snuck the fastest split of the day, I think, with a 4:09.13. Yeah. So just a little bit faster, but then he imploded on the run. I think Starkowitz is coming back from injury and viewed the fact he got around the bike as a bonus. So I think he's gone on a bit of a suicide mission there. But fair play to Fromhold. He's ridden the 409 and he's held out for the victory there with a low 250s on the run as well. So very, very impressive.
Absolutely brilliant. Wow. I've had a few messages from people just saying, you have to do that race. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. It's amazing. So, that's one to add to my list. Every week you add a race to your, pretend list.
Yeah, my pretend list of races I'm going to do if I ever recover.
Yeah. Well, I genuinely, I think there would be that I would reconsider next.
Really? Are you calling it now? Are you going as far as to say you are back in the ring with Ironman Racing?
No.
Helen, we've got hundreds and hundreds of listeners witnessing this now. Go on the record. In fact, if you want to enter, you better do it quick, 'cause it'll be closed in about 30 seconds flat, won't it?
That's it. So I'll admit, no, I'm not saying straight away. But it's now beginning to niggle, which it hasn't been since finishing Austria. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to text Rich later and tell him, guard the bank card. Don't let Helen near it. She's going to enter. Hey man, I tell you what's great. I'm on the Slow Twitch page about Roth at the minute, and there's a photo here that we're going to have to use it as the photograph for this week's episode. It's two women dressed as enormous traffic cones at the 28k point, and it says, Strand Frunda penalty loop. And there's like these two women standing there dressed as enormous penalty cones, and you've got to go off the course off onto this penalty loop. That's brilliant.
They're not lederhosen penalty cones, though, are they? That's a bit disappointing.
No, to be fair to the ladies in question, they don't look lederhosen type ladies. No. They look more like dinner ladies from our school canteen. Just
smiley and happy, don't they?
Yeah. Oh God, you'd be pissed off, wouldn't you, being given an extra K to run at that point?
You're over halfway of the run, aren't you? But it's your own stupid fault for drafting.
Yeah, well, we've all been caught at some point. I never have actually. Having said that, I've never been caught. So maybe you only get caught if you're a dirty cheater.
That's it. Exactly.
Oh boy, right, come on, let's move on to the next big event of this weekend, which was the ETU European Triathlon Championships over in Geneva.
Yeah, wow, there's loads going on here. So why don't we start with the elites.
Let's start with the elites. We'll go through that quick.
This was Jodie Stimpson making her comeback from injury, and she's been out for a lot of this year so far. So she was racing along with Lucy Hall and Jessica Learmonth. But anyway, it didn't go quite to plan for Jodie Stimpson. She was doing really, really well. She was on the bike. She was up there with Nicola Spirig and Lisa Norden. But then she got a flat tyre, which must have been an absolute really gutting.
Yeah.
So she didn't make it onto the podium in the end. She came in ninth. Lucy Hall, well done to her. She was up there out of the water, as I said earlier, with Jessica Learmonth, and she hung on in there to finish in fifth. Jessica Learmonth came in 11th, India Lee in 23rd. Now, I do think I called this one, didn't I? Nicola Spirig won.
You definitely called it. Fair play to you.
Yeah. So she finished comfortably, nearly a minute ahead of the rest of the field. So fantastic racing from her. And then in the men's race, that one was won by David Oath of France. Sven Riederer of Switzerland came in second, and Christian Blumenfeld of Norway was third. We had a few British guys racing. None of them made it onto the podium, but Thomas Bishop was there in fifth. Matthew Sharp came home in ninth.
Thomas, listen to you.
Thomas.
It's the Sunday name. Thomas, if you want to be called Tom, you've got to win a medal.
Same with Matthew. It's Matt. Matt Sharp was ninth.
Yeah.
And David Bishop, who I don't imagine is a Dave, so let's stick with David Bishop, was 30th.
Yeah, there we go. Tom Bishop, to be fair to him, was only a few seconds off a medal as well. He was only 6 seconds off third and 2 seconds off fourth. So another great performance from him. He's really coming on, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And he did, wasn't it in Baku at the European Games? Was that right? Where he and Phil Graves absolutely buried themselves?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But brilliantly. So, good work, Tom. There were quite a lot of medals as well in the para-triathlon. So, amongst the others, Alison Patrick, she got gold, and Lauren Steadman won gold in their respective categories. And then there were loads and loads of age groupers racing, because they had the sprint race, didn't they? And then they had the standard race. So in the sprint, there were like 26 medals for GB age groupers, so absolutely fantastic. I think probably, don't know, James Phillips was the quickest in the sprint. He did a 1:05 and got second in his age group. And the standard, again, 20 medals. So some brilliant racing from our British athletes.
We should give a shout out to the gold medalists here. So from the standard, we had Jane Leslie win female 69, Hilary Stevenson win the female 70, Luke Pollard won the male 20, and Chris Standage, our pal Chris Standage, took out the gold in the male 35 to 39. So fantastic performances there. Chris, we've got to give extra love to, I think, because if you think back a couple of weeks, Chris just won the overall age group race, didn't he, at the 70.3 Staffordshire?
Yeah.
So another fantastic performance for him, and he's been trying to win this for his whole life. He's had a couple of silver medals at the ETU Europeans. So yeah, well done to him, and it was good to see his mates on Twitter giving him some abuse and saying, right, straight on to get a medal at the win the worlds now. They're hassling him to do so they don't let up, his mates, do they?
No, everyone loves a bit of banter, don't they? You put in a good performance, and then
the next thing you know, you've got to become world champion.
Yeah, that's it. Winning your age group at a decent 70.3 in the UK, and then taking gold at the European Championships. Sorry, not enough, obviously.
Yeah. Rage your game.
Fantastic.
Another nice win there for the Talk team. Well done, Chris. Right, next one up, the Bastion. We've got to mention this, haven't we?
Oh yeah, it's part of the Castle Triathlon series. We should say thank you very much to Tim Hemming for this one. So it's part of the Castle Triathlon series. So they've got the other races like in Chumley, and there's one in Ireland, isn't there? And it is down in Kent. And it is a tough course, Rob. The bike has 2,800 metres of ascent, and then there's a hilly trail marathon. So if you haven't smashed your legs enough, exactly, then you get to run a little bit of a hilly trail marathon. Now I saw Alice Hector had been talking about this because she won the women's race last year, and she was just saying it was one of the hardest. Probably hardest triathlon she had done, and with it being an iron distance, well, that just adds a little bit more spice to it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Good work. We've got the results were Darren Jenkins took it out in 10:01, Carl Alexander in 10:24, Matthew Dowell third in 10:45. So you can see there from the standard of the times, Carl Alexander, I think, was the winner of the Outlaw, wasn't he, or the half Outlaw?
Yeah. He's on
was it the full Outlaw? Oh, I'm trying to remember now. Can't remember. We need some kind of spreadsheet system, don't we?
I know.
Pull all this up immediately.
No, hold on. It would have been the half because they haven't. Yeah, it would have been half.
They haven't had the Outlaw yet, so it must have been the half Outlaw.
Exactly.
Good work, Helen. Yeah.
But he's on the Erding alcohol-free fry team, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I do know.
So I think Darren Jenkins is an Australian pro, according to this information from Tim Hemmings. So he's based in Europe, and he had fourth at Challenger Weymouth last year, so a great result for him. And Bethan Fowler took out the women's race in 12:04, and then there's some big gaps there. 13:48 for Ruth Thompson in second, and Louise Clinton in third in 15:50. So I'm thinking maybe we get you there next year, Helen, actually, rather than Roth. There's 1,250 quid on the line.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Have a nice little payday, mate.
That I was going to say, actually, this really is one to sort of bear in mind for people who are at the competing end of things, if you're thinking you might like to try to pocket a little bit of money, yeah, I mean, given the difference there between Bethan Fowler, 12.04, winning it, and Louise Clinton, 15.50 in third, it's definitely one to think about and consider, isn't it? The men's race was a lot, well, I say closer, I mean, it was. The three of them finishing within 45 minutes, so.
Yeah. I think they probably suffer a little bit from their proximity to the big UK races. The fact that, but fair play to the Castle organisers there, putting $2,500 on the line for the winners alone is a nice little prize pot. So good for them for putting some money out there for the pros.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we'll get a few more sort of turning up to support them, because if they don't support the races, then the races won't stay around, I don't think.
No. Well, 61 people finished in total, and we should give a mention to Anthony Gerondini, who he completed, Rob, 100 iron distance triathlons.
I know, he is an old pal of mine, actually. We call him TC. I've known him for a lot of years through the Tri Talk Forum, and we ran together for a while. The longest day back in 2006, we ran side by side and had a good old chat. So he's a great bloke, top chap, absolute endurance nutter. Previous winner of the Enduroman Double Ironman UK, although it's not called Ironman, is it? It's called Enduroman UK, so the double iron race there. And he pretty much just goes out and races an Ironman every weekend during the summer.
Does he know our friend Decker Dave?
He does know our friend Decker Dave.
Does he do Decker Ironman as well, or does Dave need to introduce him? Because it sounds like he'd be an absolutely perfect candidate to join in the madness.
It does, and I've been in chats with him actually, and this might give me the kick in the backside to make it happen. Actually, we've gone back and forth on email a few times about getting him on the show. So to complete 100 iron distance triathlons, we definitely need to give the boy an interview, don't we?
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff going on in his head that we can all learn from. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Good stuff. Do you know what else we didn't mention as well? I came across this and I kicked myself, because back in earlier in the season, I was having a nosy through and thinking, what races would I like to go and do? There was an iron distance race in Kielder on the 5th of July.
Oh, nice.
So Kielder Water, which is up in sort of Northumberland area. I came across this because when we were at the Tri Expo, Steve Cram was there. He organises the Kielder Marathon because it's 26.5 miles around Kielder Water. So as well as being in a stunning location, the run itself isn't a kind of lap affair. It's one lap of Kielder Water to finish. Yeah, so I called up the results for that, and lo and behold, Anthony Gerondini was 4th overall there as well, only a week before. So fair play to the guy. The race was taken out by Robert Dimitriou from Midway Tri. He did 11 hours 12 minutes. Paul Davis in second in 11:21. Nick Williamson third in 11:22. So a close finish there. And very, very small race, so I'll roll down. Emily Locks took out the women's race in 13 hours 43. Looks like there are only 24 finishers overall.
Wow.
It looks like it's got the potential to be one of the most stunning locations for a race you can imagine. I think the bike course is absolutely beautiful, and I mean we're spoiled for choice for them in this country now, aren't we?
Yes, definitely. And that area to cycle in, I mean, the roads are pretty quiet, and it's stunning up there, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And Kielder Water, I mean, if you haven't been, definitely get up there. There's a nice little bike path that you can cycle around. If you don't quite fancy doing, 112
miles.
Then exactly. Then stick to 26. There's a path that goes around the lake, and it's really nice.
Well, we're thinking about going there actually for a little holiday in the camper van this summer, taking Wilbur Jr. up there and our little bikes and renting a canoe, and so we'll go and check it out while we're up there.
Yes, report back.
So, report back. We'll put it on the ever-growing mythical list of races that Rob's going to do if his legs ever start working again. Oh dear. Is that it? Is that all the races we had down for this week?
That's all the news and results, but I think we can start to look ahead, Rob, because this weekend is Ironman UK.
This is it, isn't it, baby? This is it.
This is Ironman UK. You know what I did today?
Go on.
I bought a recorder so I can actually do some interviews. This is progress for me. So yeah, I will be there as well.
It.
Yeah, in quality. It won't be, hopefully if it's not too windy. I don't think I could get a wind shield from a microphone, but yeah, looking forward to it. So I've actually got a recorder, and I'm hoping to be there to get some post-race interviews and a bit of atmosphere, and yeah, it's going to be great.
I'm hoping it looks like a 1980s cassette recorder on a big long strap that hangs around your neck and a kind of microphone out on a lead. If it's anything modern looking, Helen, I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, you're going to be very, very disappointed because it doesn't involve tape, it doesn't involve scissors, it doesn't involve glue. We're talking like MP3. This is, MP3 and WAV for.
I love it.
Technology. Yeah. So
we'll
I will be there with that.
Well, we've had a sneaky invite to the press conference on Friday, actually. So I'm going to go up there on Friday and try and sneak into the press conference. It was Eleanor Hairsign dropped us an email through and said, "Come down. There's loads of us going to be there at this press conference, and we'll all do interviews with you afterwards." So we should get some good pre-race chat from that. So I wonder if we could put a sneaky Friday night episode out.
I think we should do.
Pre-race episode. That'd be good, wouldn't it? If I can get back and edit it in time.
Yeah,
so watch this space. There might be a little episode coming out on Friday night, kids. So
that'd be good.
I
tell you. Yeah. So if we look at the field, Rob, and then we can go through some tips for racing, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
So essentially, this year, on both the male and the female side, there are some big names coming up to Bolton to race. Obviously,
you're going to have to lay it on me because I haven't got the start list. Helen, you're in the know here, and I've looked and can't find it. Go on, hit me with who's racing. I know Skipper was telling me on the interview that never happened.
Okay.
The one we lost,
so,
he was saying, "Oh, there's big names racing, mate." So.
Well, there are. I will go through. These are on a start list, so you never know. Between now and the weekend, they may not be there, but. So David Dello's on it, but given that he raced in Roth, I don't think he'll be racing. So Denis Chevreau of France, David McNamee is on this start list, Victor Del Corral, Joe Skipper, Fraser Cartmel, Stephen Bayliss. Will Clark's name has been crossed off, so I imagine, he alluded to,
break, isn't he?
Yeah, he said that his season is really not going to plan. So his name has got to cross through it. And Oliver Simon as well is going to be racing. So some decent competition there. And then on the women's side of things, we've got Lucy Goss, who I think will be going in very much as favourite. Michelle Vesterby is on the start list. She is from Denmark. She's going to be chasing a few Kona points. Ellie Hairsign, Caroline Livesey, Jo Carrott, Amy Forshaw, Alice Hector, Catherine King, she raced pro at Staffordshire, and then racing for the first time is, we've mentioned her a couple of times over the past few episodes, Susie Richards, who won Slate Man and Outlaw Half. So she's, donning...
good stuff. Yeah, she's going pro. Good for
lining
you.
Up pro, first time. So
that's brilliant. So that'll be... Do you know what's really great about that is when the TV show goes on, there's going to be loads of competitive British male and female age groupers there. It's a real who's who, isn't it, this year of British racing.
Yeah.
And that can only be good for the sport if there's young triathletes watching it, and rather than just seeing one British person or two British people racing, if they can see a whole bunch of people racing each other, it's really going to pique people's interest, I think, which is fantastic. And I can't wait to see it, mate. I'm really excited for this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it, after Staffordshire, we were saying that for the British women especially, it's just fantastic for them because they get on. They'll have lots of pre-race banter, warming, that sort of stuff. And it's fantastic that they can all have such a decent standard of racing, in the UK. I think it's great for them.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we shall be there trackside, shan't we? We should be there trackside. Hopefully the weather will be decent and we'll be able to get some on-the-fly footage when we're there at the actual event and some post-race interviews as well. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Who's your favourite for the races? Who do you think's going to take it out?
So I think I'm going to go with.
Got to be Gossage for the girls,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely. Lucy Gossage for the girls, no pressure. And then
Second.
Second. Second, I think.
Vesta B.
Yeah, I think Vesta B.
B.
Yeah.
And third, come on.
Alice.
Who's your pick for third?
Alice Hector.
Is it really? Interesting. I'm going to go with Elle Hairsign.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Go on.
3:59 for 100 miles. 3:59. Elle, I want to see you lay it out on the bike, girl. I want to see you smash that bike course into pieces. Show what you can do.
So, what tips for... You'd hope that most people would have been up and actually wrecked the bike route, but what tips for Ironman UK?
Well, I think that's the first one that you've said. Most people will have been up and wrecked the bike route. I don't think that they will have been. I think it's such a long way away for some people that they won't have done. So here's the tips we'll go through. The first thing is going to be to get there in plenty of time for the swim start. I think that one goes without saying. I have been guilty in the past, Helen, of getting down to the water's edge at Ironman UK, been about to get in the water and realising my timing chip is still in my transition bag. And I mean, can you imagine that? Having to run back through 2,000 athletes, pushing your way through, find the bag, go through it, sweating, panicking, not a good start to your day. So that's my first top tip. Put your timing chip on the night before so it's already around your leg. Yeah, sleep in it. That's the first thing. Right, so swim, pretty straightforward. 2 anti-clockwise loops. Most important thing is do not go crazy. Don't seed yourself too far forward. Swim at a nice relaxed pace. It's a really long day and you are not going to gain yourself any time by swimming as hard as you can. I think the difference between swimming as hard as you can and as easy as you can over an Ironman distance is probably in the region of 4 to 5 minutes. So you're going to do yourself a lot of favours by swimming really slowly and relaxed during the start of the day and then getting out of the water feeling relaxed and not panicked. You also don't want to be too far forward in the seeding because you're just going to lead to that feeling of panic if people are swimming over you, and you want to avoid that if you possibly can. Now, bike course. It is not an easy bike course, is it, Hells? I can't believe that. Have you never been up and ridden it? Oh, mate, we'll have to take you up. Good stuff. Right, well, here's the first thing. Something that undoes loads of people is the road straight out of transition has got loads of great big speed bumps on. It's proper eject your water bottles territory. So there's enough space between them to build up loads of speed, and then you hit the great big speed bump and bang, bottles are flying left, right and centre. So take it super easy over that section. You don't want to lose your bottles and you don't want to come off. I've seen loads of people come a cropper there, so take it super easy. First stretch of the bike I think is about 10 or 12 miles in a straight line to get you up to the loop itself. It's all gradually uphill. So again, you want to just be keeping yourself in check and not going too crazy there. Usually a tailwind on that section. There's a couple of sections of the uphill are a little bit steeper and you're going to know that you're going uphill. So just remind yourself to back off a little bit. You do not want to be pushing to the point where you feel you're out of breath in that first half an hour of the day. So nice and steady. And you'll know when you get to the loop because you're going to turn right and you're going to be faced with quite a tasty little climb, probably 3 to 4 minutes long, and it's a nice little out of the saddle effort. So again, keep yourself in check there. We do not want to be pushing hard on these hills. We wouldn't be riding within ourselves, and feedback that you'll be getting from other people around you is going to be bad feedback because most people will be super excited, especially at this time of year. They'll have the Tour de France in their brain. You don't want to be climbing like Chris Froome attacking somebody. You'll see it going on. Just let those crazy lunatics go, okay? Sheep House Lane especially. Sheep House is a good 15-minute climb for the best riders. So probably 20 minutes plus for the majority of the field. So you want to be taking it nice and steady up there. There's a section 3/4 of the way up where there's a 90-degree left-hand turn. There'll be loads of spectators there. And that's the steepest part of the course. Everybody's going to be out the saddle there, so even if you're out the saddle, take it nice and easy. The descent down into Belmont, there are some nasty sharp corners. I think you'll remember seeing on TV a couple of years back, there was a great shot of one of the age groupers who was riding very close behind one of the leading pro females, shall we say, and he overcooked the corner completely. He just went right off the road and into the little lake that's there. Yeah, luckily, well, I'm saying luckily for him, there's a kind of a dry reservoir, it's a couple of 100 meters across. It's not a big reservoir, but he just went right off the road over the bars. Hideous, very sharp 90-degree left-hand turn there. So watch yourself there. And again, the turn in the little village of Belmont itself is you come down a very steep, sharp hill, 90-degree left onto the road. You're gonna need to be in a nice, easy gear as you go around that, because as soon as you go around the corner, it kicks up. For the rest of it, you've got some hills, you've got some uphill, some downhill, some rollers. You've got some sections where you've got those long kind of false descents where you'll be going really, really fast. So take it easy and look after yourself. If you're not confident riding hard on the aero bars, don't do in that section. If you are confident riding hard in the aero bars, that's a section where you can put some serious time into your opposition. So that being said, look after yourselves. Don't go crazy on that section, because you want more than anything to make sure you get onto the run with no skin knees and no accidents, and make sure you even get there. And it looks like, actually, from what I've read, they've changed the course this year again. They've changed it very slightly and altered it, so it's a bit more like the course was 3 years ago. So they've taken out one of the twisty, turny, steep downhill, steep uphill sections, and it might make the course a little bit faster. I think maybe marginally. It's made it a bit shorter as well. So you might be yeah, it's like a mile short rather than being a couple of miles long this year. So I think we'll see slightly faster bike times than last year. Still not going to be a fast course though. And the biggest tip for the run is going to be that you need to be mentally prepared for the fact that from the minute you get onto the out and back loop in Bolton, it's either all uphill or downhill. So be prepared for that mentally. On the profile on the Ironman UK website, it looks flat, doesn't it? But it definitely isn't. It's all either a gradual uphill drag, which is going to hurt your quads, or a gradual downhill drag, which is going to hurt your quads. So you're going to have to grit your teeth and get through it, because there's going to be very little respite apart from the looped section through Bolton Town Centre. That being said, it's a pretty good course for support. So pretty good. Bolton Town Centre is very busy. There's lots of supporters from the race, but there's also a lot of locals around cheering people on. And they've done a nice job there of looping it in and out and around the shops. So you'll see a lot of support there. Goes a bit quiet on the midsection as you go out of Bolton, and there's a nasty steep little hill that lasts maybe 200 to 300 meters, which is, it's steep enough to consider the advice of just walk it. I think unless you're vying for a Kona slot, I'd save your legs and walk up it each time, because it's, a power walk up there is probably going to have your heart rate right up there. From the top of that steep hill, it's a long drag all the way up to, there's an area it's called the Bolton School, and there's a pub up there whose name I've forgotten. That's a great section for spectators to get to, and it's where we've based ourselves the last few years. Fantastic support. All the spectators are pissed at that point. You always see some comedy dude running by, stopping and getting a spectator's pint and having a drink of it, and you're thinking, oh man, you're going to pay for that later. So really good course for running on. Just be aware that road is not closed, and you do occasionally get some idiot local who's determined he's not going to drive his car respectfully. For the most part, the locals are great and they drive along slowly and everyone's happy. But just be aware, guys, as you're out there running, that road hasn't been closed totally in previous years. So watch your backs a little bit. Other than that, we will be out there shouting you on. So if you see us, we'll have our little MP3 recorder. So pop over and say hello, and we might be able to record you if it doesn't get you disqualified. All right, mate. Let's wrap it up. It's been great talking with you. You take it easy. I'll speak to you later in the week, and we will arrange our get together for the Ironman UK course. For everyone out there listening, You have a great rest of your week. If you're tapering down for Ironman UK, try not to go too mental. All the training's in the bag, guys, and you will be absolutely fine on the day. Good luck to you all, and we'll talk to you again maybe Friday. We might have a sneaky little episode out, so keep your eyes open for that. Until then, I'm Coach Rob Wilby, and you've been listening to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. We shall see you again soon. Take care now.